Alexandra, or Alex, from Crafts with Alexandra, and today I am going to be trying to film a quick little podcast video, my first one in fact, and I thought I would make it a quick little haul of yarn I've got recently. I went away with one of my friends, Heidi, for 3 weeks around Scandinavia, Europe, and the UK, and along the way I bought some yarn and I thought I would share it, and it would be a good way to sort of dip my feet into the world of podcasting. Now, you can see Lola. This is my Lola, my dog beside me, who was chewing a bone very loudly during my first attempt to film this video. And then during my second attempt to film this video, I had the camera at a really weird angle. So this is hopefully the third and as best as I can get it take of this video. So just to quickly introduce myself, my name is Alex. I'm from Ottawa, Canada, and I post most of my content over on Instagram, although I have been slacking a bit recently. However, I've always sort of wanted to explore the world of YouTube, so that's what I'm trying today. I've crocheted for a little over a year now, and I have just recently picked up knitting, and it's been a lot of fun. So my grandma taught me how to knit when I was quite young, but I never quite got the hang of the 2-needle thing. So when I tried again while I was older, I decided crochet would be the way to go since there's only one hook, much easier to deal with. However, as I was exploring that, I realized that I liked the look of knitted fabric more for certain patterns and certain garments that I wanted to make. So that's one of the main reasons I decided to give it the old college try again and start knitting. My friend Heidi, who I was going away with, also wanted to start knitting again. So she suggested that we pick a project and knit it over the course of our vacation. And I'll show you that at the end of the video in case you're interested. But otherwise, I will show you the yarn that I got. So this trip was over the course of around 3 weeks, and it was a cruise, and then we also traveled by ourselves. So it started in Reykjavik in Iceland. We went around Iceland, and then we went to a few stops in Norway. Then we went to Amsterdam and Belgium. And then from there, the cruise ended in Southampton in the UK. And then that's when we, I guess, journeyed on our own and went to London for a couple days, then up to York, and then finally ended in Edinburgh. And it was so much fun. We had a lot of fun. We did a bunch of cool things. And some of the cool things included going to different yarn stores. So, I guess maybe I wanted to tell you a bit about my strategy going in to this trip. I knew I wanted to get yarn, but I usually like to set myself budgets because I've been known to sort of jump around from hobby to hobby. So if I set myself realistic budgets beforehand, that sort of helps me not overspend on a hobby. So my plan going in was that I was allowing myself to get 2 sweater quantities, one from Scandinavia and one from the UK, and then fill up the rest of the budget with any sort of individual skeins that I found. And that did change because I realized that I am still quite a slow knitter. So rather than getting like 2 very large projects, I decided to get 3 different mini projects to sort of accomplish. I also had, just before we left for my birthday, had treated myself to a sweater quantity of yarn from Holsgarn. So I felt like rather than sweater quantities, I would stick to some fun little projects. And that's exactly what I did. So the first place we went and stopped at a yarn store was in Iceland, and I might struggle with some of this pronunciation, but please feel free to correct me phonetically if you would like down below, and I'm more than happy to learn how to improve my pronunciation. So this store we went to was called Garni Gangi, and I believe this is their brand of yarn. And it is a really pretty 100% Icelandic wool yarn. I'd say about like maybe a heavy worsted Aran weight. There is 200 meters per 100 grams of this, and it's in this really pretty greeny, blue, brown, and even some orange colorway. So Heidi helped, sorry, I'm getting itchy from holding this yarn near my face, but basically Heidi helped me pick out this color, and it was the color that reminded us the most of the time that we had spent in Iceland. And the colorway, in case you're curious, is Vorlysing. I'll hold that up. And I have not yet done a Google Translate of that, so I'm not totally sure what it means. But to me, this very much reminds me of a bunch of different sites that we got to see in Iceland. And the reason I went with this one in particular is because the worker at the store was talking to a customer and saying how good Icelandic wool is, in particular for winter accessories, because I guess of the way that the wool is constructed or something like that, and how you can get a pair of mitts out of one skein of wool. So that really piqued my interest, and I thought it would be great to have a pair of mitts made out of this wool. So that's my plan for this one. Next, we went to Norway, and in Norway we got to stop at a yarn store in Bergen, and it was called, I wrote myself a note, it was called Strikkelykke, and it was a really cute store, and we got to talk to some nice people. Actually, in all the different yarn stores we talked to, all the different yarn stores we stopped at, we got to speak to some really nice people, and just, it was a great way to sort of connect while we were traveling. So this yarn is from Unkit Garn, and it is a mohair silk blend, so 75% super kid mohair, 25% silk, and it is 420 meters per 50 grams. So a very traditional lace weight mohair sort of yarn. And the colorway to me reminds me exactly of cotton candy. There's some pink and blue and then some purple when it mixes, and it's just so pretty. And although this isn't specifically Norwegian wool, it was hand dyed in Norway. So that sort of made me feel like it was Norwegian. And the colorway, in case you're curious, is Morgendis. And again, have yet to translate that one. So, I don't know, but to me, very much cotton candy. To go along with this guy, I got 2 balls or skeins of this wool, which is from Roma Garn, they're Finnel. This one is in fact 100% Norwegian wool, and it is 175 meters per 650 grams, very much sort of like a fingering weight wool. And my plan is to hold these two together and make a hat or a toque. So if you have any patterns that you would recommend for about like a DK worsted weight hat up to 420 meters, please feel free to leave those below. Otherwise, I've been looking at a few different patterns that I think might be cool to do. And in case you're curious, this is currently what the second ball of this one looks like. So you can see what it looks like rolled up, because Lola got into it and completely made a mess of it. And it took me about 3 hours yesterday to unwind it. But luckily, no wool was harmed, and I will still get to make a very cute little toque with this. Lola loves yarn, almost, if not more than I do. And when she was a younger puppy, she loved getting into my wool. So I made a great habit of keeping all of my yarns out of her reach. However, she had since stopped really getting into all my yarn. So after I tried and filmed the first go at this, I left my yarn in a bucket on my floor and she got into it. So 100% my fault. And now I know that she is still a yarn fan and to keep these a bit more protected from her. Also in Norway, we stopped at another store, which I have forgotten the name of, but Heidi and I each picked up one of these little tags that you can put on garments, or I guess anything you've knit or made, and it says handmade in Norway. And then on this side, I am assuming it says handmade in Norway in Norwegian. But I got this for the project that I was knitting, and Heidi got one for herself. Different make though. And we just thought this would be a cute way to remember that we were knitting this on our travels, even though it wasn't exclusively knit in Norway. A chunk of it was, so nice little memory. Finally, the last place that we got to stop and look at yarn was in Scotland, in Edinburgh. And in Edinburgh, the store we got to visit was Ginger Twist Studio, which was a really, really cute little store. And we got to go explore, and this was the yarn that caught my eye. And it is their hand-dyed sheepish sock wool in the colorway Brighter Than Barbie. And in 100 grams, there are 365 meters. It's made of 80% superwash British blue-faced Leicester and 20% nylon. So the Barbie movie was coming out the next day when we went to this yarn store. And also in Scotland, while we were driving around, I was noticing all these pink flowers on the roadside. Quite a bit lighter than this, but still pink. So I thought that, well, this yarn does remind me of those flowers. I am planning to make a pair of socks with this yarn. I have since coming home tried with some other sock yarn I have to test and make socks, and I'm finding it pretty tricky, but I'm also quite determined to learn how so I can make a pair of socks with this yarn. My plan is to use just like a simple vanilla sock from the Crazy Sock Lady, and either use the long needles, short needles, double pointed needles. I've tried it all. If you have a way of making socks that you find simple, please leave it down below, because I've tried it all and I'm determined and we're gonna power through, but as of right now, I am finding it quite difficult. So that concludes all the yarn that I was able to get while I was away. And maybe I'll hold it up so you can see it. As you can see, Lola's also quite interested in the haul. So this is the yarn that I managed to get while I was away. We didn't get to stop at yarn stores everywhere, but we did get to a fair amount, and I really thank Heidi for her agreeability to stop at different yarn stores with me and to look around. Yarn stores can keep I find different hours than other stores. Either they open later or close earlier, and also they're not open all the days of the week. So that definitely limited our ability to stop at yarn stores, but I'm super happy with the ones that we were able to make it to. And now, as mentioned, I will show you the project that I was working on while I was away, which was housed in this bag that I also got from Ginger Twist Studio, which is a super cute little project bag. And I got the pink one to go with the pink yarn, which is great. So the project I was working on was the Stockholm Slipover from Petite Knit in the scoop neck version. Heidi was working on one in the V-neck version. So it was really, really great for us to be able to work on these together and sort of workshop different problems we ran into and do our first big project together. We also luckily just coincidentally ran into a sample of the Stockholm Slipover at one of the yarn stores we stopped at, and getting to see it in person was great and really, really reassured us that we were on the right track. So the yarn that is used in this is actually from my great aunt. When I started knitting and crocheting, my great aunt and my grandma gave me a bunch of their old yarns, which is super cool to get to make stuff with it. And this yarn in particular might actually also be from my great aunt's goats. Oh, Lola found the tag. Okay. Oh, thank you. So might also be from my great aunt's goats. She used to shear her goats, send the fiber away to be processed, and then sent back to her, and then she would dye it. So that could be what this is, because it came to me very organic, and it's really cool because it's like clearly a hand spun yarn, and it's like super, super woolly, which is great. But I haven't fact checked that with her, so I'm not totally sure. So it's either from her, or there's a chance in her little village that someone else made this yarn, which is really cool. This pattern has been good so far. We've managed to problem solve all the different areas we came up to. Trying to figure out the construction at first, as someone who had only previously attempted to knit one garment, was a bit complicated, but we managed to do it. And I'm planning on making mine cropped, so I think I only have about 2 more inches in the body before I start the ribbing and then get to finish the neck hole and armholes. So really looking forward to that. Heidi is a teacher, and her plan was to finish hers to wear it on the first day of school. So really hope that gets to happen for her. Oh, Lois found some paper. Okay, we're gonna finish this together. So, yes, thank you. So, yeah, Heidi's plan was to finish by the first day of school, and maybe I'll also try and finish on the first day she goes to school and wear it when I go to work. So that was everything I had to share with you guys today. I hope you enjoyed, and if there's any questions you have for me, please feel free to leave them below. Also, I want to make sure my videos are as accessible as possible, so if there's anything I can do to increase the accessibility, please feel free to leave me a comment below or send me a message over on Instagram. Again, my Instagram is @craftswithalexandra. And with that, I think that's everything I had to say for this first episode. I had a lot of fun, so maybe I'll keep trying to film more videos in the future. We'll see how it goes. This was my first face-to-camera video, and even though it took me 3 tries, I think maybe I've gotten more of a hang of it. So until next time, have a good day. Bye.